Welcome to episode 16 of this Leadership in Conservation series. Today, we will explore leading transformation and change, focusing on how leaders can effectively guide organizations and teams through change. Leading us through this topic is Mr. Chris Murray. Chris is an experienced leader with expertise in organizational transformation, change management, and strategic leadership. He has worked extensively with organizations undergoing major transitions, helping leaders and teams adapt to new challenges and opportunities. Chris will share insight into why change is necessary, how to manage resistance to change, and the key strategies for leading successful transformation. After watching this video, you will understand why change is essential for organizational growth and adaptation. You will learn how to effectively manage change and address resistance, and discover strategies for leading transformation that ensures lasting success. Now, let's listen to Chris.
As you've heard from Suleto, today's module is about managing transition and change. As introduction, I clearly would like to say that I think this is a very crucial part in our role as people who do biodiversity conservation. The decision to change or not to change or do things this or that way will have a huge impact on humans' footprint into the future. Let's just use the old and well-known concept of fossil fuel. If we decide to change to alternative energy, it will have a certain impact on nature and on humans into the future. If we don't, it's going to have a different impact, but for sure a long-term impact. Now, in the past, when I was much younger, it was much easier to manage transition and change. It was like okay, something must change, we discuss it, we bring about certain changes, so a little bit like project management. It's got a beginning and an ending, and then we say we were successful and we moved on. Today, however, the world moves at a rapid pace where things change on not even a daily, on an hourly basis or even by minute. It is ironic that it's said that the only thing that doesn't change is change itself. So businesses nowadays talk about things such as the adaptation of things, the daily adaptation, to be agile, maintaining continuous improvement because things continuously keep on changing. I do, however, want to say that I think that in our world of conservation and the impact of our decisions, organizations still have to apply from time to time formal transition and change management strategies. And this is what this discussion is about. So let's start by asking ourselves, what is change? Change is about changing an existing situation and replace it with another situation. Very simply put, I take a chair which has always stood in one place and I now put it in another room, a place. The impact is not necessarily very big, but I did bring about change. But then the impact of the change we bring about as leaders might sometimes have a far-reaching consequence. As example, when I'm transferred from one to another department, it could significantly impact on me. When a new software system is introduced in the company, it would impact on the entire organization. And now think about this, when we change the boundaries of a national park, this will impact on many people and their livelihoods, even on countries. So change often leads to resistance, as it can deeply impact individuals, companies, organizations, and even at international level. The next question would then be why people resist change. People often resist change because it triggers a sense of uncertainty, discomfort, or fear of the unknown. Here are a few common reasons why this could happen. People have a fear of the unknown as it takes them into unfamiliar territory, and it makes them feel anxious. It can also make individuals feel like they have less control over their own environment, which can be unsettling. People tend to prefer stability because it allows them to feel in charge. It also takes people out of their comfort zone, which can cause resistance, even if the change is ultimately beneficial. People have a fear of failure. Therefore, a new situation can make people hesitant to embrace the change. And lastly, there is very often a lack of trust. If people don't trust the reasons behind the change or the individuals implementing it, they may resist it. This is often seen in the workplaces or institutions where leadership doesn't effectively communicate the rationale behind the change. It is exactly this last point why we as leaders should learn to manage change well. So my next topic is transition and change management. The question is if there are ways to manage change to reduce resistance or ensure better outcomes. The answer is definitely yes. The good part is that it is not rocket science. We simply need to understand the difference between change and transition. We already know that change is situational, the thing that we replace with another. But the question is, what is transition? There was an American organizational psychologist named William Bridges who clearly defined the concept transition and the importance thereof. Bridges said that transition is the psychological process people go through to come to terms with a changing situation. In short, it means that you have to prepare people up front that change will be coming, providing the reasons why it needs to happen and also how you plan to implement it. Bridges says that unless transition takes place, change will not be successful. He proposed a very simple 3-step process to do this. When you look at the grid on your screen, you will see 3 distinct blocks. What Bridges says is that in the process of bringing about change, the first step in transition on the left-hand block is that you have to communicate to let go of the old. In the middle block, you communicate in a neutral zone what should be changing, and then only on the right-hand side you communicate for a new beginning, the change that you want to bring about. Bridges says that unless transition takes place, change will not be successful. Now I can explain it through this managing transition box. When you manage transition, you always start by communicating why you have to let go of the old. That implies that there's a reason why things have to change or have to stop or have to be altered. And communicating the reason for that leads people to start understanding why you have to bring about the change. Once you've communicated the reasons, then you communicate in a neutral zone how you could bring about the change. You involve the staff and you involve people to get their ideas how to bring about this change. And only then you communicate for a new beginning and you say, now we bring about the change. Differently put, he says that change always starts with an ending. Something's got to end. Then you debate in the neutral zone before people are affected. And only then you implement change. And that means it begins with an ending and it ends with a beginning of new change. Change management is in essence to ensure that the transformation processes takes place, to then be followed by the actual change. What I've shared is a very basic model, knowing that in reality things change sometimes too fast. Nevertheless, if change is not the result of a transition process, change will bring a lot of resistance and will not be successful. This model does not guarantee 100% success. However, it is better than just a sudden implementation of change without the transition processes.
So leading transformation requires a clear vision, strong communication, and the ability to manage uncertainty. Change is inevitable in any organization, but successful leaders know how to guide their teams through transitions while maintaining stability and focus. Managing resistance effectively ensures a smoother transition and greater team buy-in. Leaders who embrace the transition part of change can drive long-term growth and success in conservation and beyond. In summary, change is a constant part of leadership, and adapting to it is essential for success. Managing resistance effectively ensures a smoother transition and greater team buy-in. By applying these insights, you will be better prepared to lead change, navigate challenges, and create a positive impact within your organization. Next up is episode 17, titled The Era of Digital Technology. Join us as we explore how digital advancements are shaping the way organizations and leaders operate.